This podcast contains explicit content.
A hardly focused production.
You are listening to
1 full hour of rip-roaring rap music.
The balance beam.
Prepare to engage.
Hi, am I on the air?
Yep.
Fuck.
The Acc and Jack Show.
The Acc and Jack Show.
Those two damn boys, Buford and Bernardo.
Great Grandma, you always know just what to say. Christmas.
I would have been remiss if I did not begin this episode with Grandma from Rhapsody Street Kids and the quite legitimate voice acting of Deborah Wilson. We are the Acc and Jack Show. Chris Acciardi, Jack Gill, Zach Ward. We are presented by Hardly Focused and the Solid Listen Podcast Network. You can find us at accandjack.com. That is accandjack.com. Acc, hello.
It's October 2nd. Merry Christmas.
It's also Softer October. Do I have that queued up? No? Yes? No?
I'll take your word for it.
Here it is.
Hold on to the night.
I went all last October into November before I remembered it was Softer October. And I did not once feature the crooning of one Richard Marx on this show. So there you go. Zach, hello.
Hello.
Zach, a big Richard Marx fan?
Apparently.
I almost died today, so we'll kick off with that. This is
yeah.
This is normally where I tease what's going to come up in this episode of the show, but I can't tell you that we're going to be flying by the seat of our pants in this one because I didn't even have time to do show prep because every Wednesday, the middle of the week, the day of Weds, I travel from Worcester to Leominster. And that's how you pronounce it. It's not Leominster.
Leominster.
Leominster. And that's about a 30-minute drive. In the middle of my work day, I'm very fortunate to have the ability to dip out of work and go to Leominster to see my therapist, where I bitch about my quandaries and my tribulations. Predicaments. Yes.
Being Jack.
Existing. And a few weeks ago, so he knows about the podcast. I'm sure he actually listens to this podcast, and we're talking about it. And I leave my therapist's office, and as I'm standing in the parking lot, this car pulls into the parking lot, and there's someone in there, like whoever's in the car is like pounding on the window, and they're screaming at me.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, oh boy, what did I do now? And out the car comes Mike Terrara.
Oh.
And I'm like, of all places, I run into you and your lovely mother. And it turns out they were visiting a family lawyer who just happens to be in the same building. But it was truly of all places, at all times. And then my therapist comes bumbling out of the building, and I'm like, hey, look, it's Mike. I was just telling you about him. He's on my podcast. And Mike's like, hi, I'm Mike. I'm on his podcast.
My God, there really is a Mike.
I'm going to have to go back and edit some notes. Oof.
It just turns around and goes right back inside. So anyway, that's me at the therapist. So I'm coming, and this was weeks ago, mind you. So today I'm coming back from my therapist's office, driving down the highway back into Worcester, Interstate 190, and all of a sudden, and very unusual for this time of the afternoon, and especially the part of the highway I was on, because I wasn't yet in the city, and all of a sudden I just see stopped cars, the brake lights. It looks like a parking lot, and I am right near an exit, so I pull off the exit. Very good timing. Other people doing the same thing, and I notice as I see all these stopped cars, 2 helicopters flying around.
That's a good sign.
Yes. Oh, incredibly encouraging. So I put on the news radio, AM radio, still a thing. Remember, they want to take that away from you. Don't let them. And of course, I pulled it up through the iHeartRadio app because fuck AM radio. Now I pull up the WBZ news radio just in time for the traffic report, 3 minutes after, and they're saying that 190 closed down both directions due to what they said was police activity. And again, very unusual. Things like this don't happen around here. Maybe in Los Angeles they happen, several times a day. But it's
not like that TV show Homicide: Life in Leominster.
Yeah. Also, you said police activity, and I'm just like imagining like a bunch of cop cars stopping like a multi-lane highway, and they're just like playing jumping jacks.
Do you remember that from Rocko's Modern Life, where they're like, in today's activity, arts and crafts? It was either like the subway or the police, but one of them just goes, anybody got the clue? Rocco's all inconvenienced because now he can't get to work. So while I'm sitting stopped in my vehicle because traffic, even getting off the highway, there's still traffic. I pull up one of the local news websites because now I hear police activity on the radio. Well, it turns out that somewhere in Worcester, a shooting occurred, which, okay, not totally unusual. Worcester is like, it's a safe city, but very rarely does a week go by where something like this doesn't happen. Turns out that whoever, and the belief right now is this is related because this was like maybe like a half a mile away from the highway. Who the shooter, and I guess there are multiple involved, ran to the highway brandishing his firearm and was taken down. And that's why everything was shut down. And this must have happened maybe 10 minutes before I got there. So had I been 10 minutes earlier, I not only would have been stuck in this mess, but I'd probably be watching some dude playing Frogger, opening fire, exchanging gunfire with the police. And like, I would not normally bring a story like this up here, but it's on the front page of TMZ right now. Because there's in the day and age in which we live now, there's video from several angles of this guy getting gunned down by police. And
Local oafs day ruined. Picture of Jack on the front cover.
I was ruined. It was ruined. It was ruined, I tell ya. I shake my fist in anger. It was ruined. Local oaf.
That reads like an Onion article.
Yeah. According to TMZ, Interstate I-90 was closed just north of Worcester, Mass. I applaud them for spelling it correctly. Wednesday afternoon, after a man with a gun took to the highway on foot, dipping and diving between cars and standstill traffic, attempting to avoid capture. Mass State Police spokesman Brandon Doherty told TMZ troopers and Worcester police responded to a report of a man with a gun around 3:40 p.m. local time. That's Eastern time. And a shooting occurred shortly thereafter. In the footage, multiple officers descended on the scene pursuing the suspect from various angles. Cops and the suspect exchanged gunfire toward the end of the chase, at which point the man apparently shot himself in the head before he could be detained.
All right. That's one way to do it.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess all right. So I stand corrected. We had heard that there were two involved. It's just one. Now, this is where we were getting confused because I tell Becky immediately, just like, because now I'm excited. I'm like, holy crap. I was almost in the middle of this. And I tell her that the suspect, according to the radio, is in custody. And Becky responds with, no, he dead. Well, it turns out, according to the Massachusetts State Police, in custody also means is no longer a threat, which means he is dead. He is neutralized.
That's That's really bad.
I
That's
did not
really
know that.
Bad. No, like the implications of that is so. We have him in custody. It's like, okay, well, where is he? Oh no, he's dead. That doesn't mean that, guys. That does not mean that. Okay, whatever. That seems very dystopian, but okay.
Yeah,
that's weird.
He's in the custody of the medical examiner.
Yeah, he's in the Lord's custody now.
Becky's over here like mouthing that at me. So you guys are on the same page. Trooper Doherty told us, TMZ, the suspect is, quote, in custody, meaning there is, quote, no longer a threat, but that does not mean he is alive.
Wow.
So
I'm picturing the chief of police telling the reporter, he's in custody, and then one of his underlings telling him that the reporter can't see you winking over the phone, sir.
I was like, wait, can they see this? He grabs some sunglasses and carefully puts them on.
And they're the actual like pixel sunglasses too.
Yes.
And TMZ, I like this part. It's not currently clear if the man died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, but he notably collapsed after pulling the trigger.
He's either dead or has lost a lot of cherry filling.
What's that coming out of Kitty's ears, Dad? Raspberry jam. The man was taken to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. He was then transferred to a better hospital where his condition was upgraded to alive. All right. I need to like come up with my own material because those were two different Simpsons quotes in the span of a sentence.
All I can say is I hope this guy deserves the derision we're heaping upon him.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this is what always is controversial when I gripe about getting stuck in traffic because of death. And I got into a fight with people on Facebook many years ago because there was one day, it was like a Thursday or Friday afternoon, and I was still having to drive into the Boston area every day for work. And Fridays to begin with, especially the afternoon commute is hellish. Maybe it's gotten better since COVID. I don't know. But pre-COVID, Friday afternoons, it was either you leave at 2 p.m. or you leave at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
There's no in between. And just so happens that one day some dude decided to plow his car directly into a tractor trailer and shut down the west side of the Mass Pike. And I'm vocal about it on Facebook because, like, well, shit, that ruins my afternoon. I had plans. I'm not going to be able to like get home when I wanted to, and I'm going to have to sit in gridlock traffic for 3 hours. And multiple people responding with, somebody died, and that's all you can think about? I'm like, yeah, me. I didn't kill him. I'm heavily inconvenienced now by this guy's actions, his judgment or lack thereof.
Yeah, you know who's not stuck sitting in traffic? The recently departed.
Yeah. And this guy today fucked my day up. He fucked everybody's day up, anybody coming home. And like, if you guys see the video, like, you'll know exactly where this is on the highway. It's not yet in like the city proper, but yeah, shit like this just doesn't happen around here. And oh wow, yeah, I definitely just watched that happen.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm watching the video right now, and that dude, he falls on the ground. Looks like he drops the gun at first. So he's got butterfingers, and now he's got no fingers. Well, no, like feeling in his fingers or anywhere for that matter. What I'm saying is he's dead.
I was reading one of the articles, like, didn't he, like, wasn't there somebody else that was shot and then he was running from that area?
Yeah. Yeah, so a shooting occurred like a half mile away from the highway. It sounds like he was getting chased by police. He took it to the highway. I would love to know, like, what the scene was when they got there, like if there were already like cops on the highway and they blocked it off knowing the dude was in the area and coming for it, or if this was like a movie moment and he's just running into the middle of the highway and causing pandemonium.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's wild because, like, I mean, you were close, but again, like, people 10 minutes before you were presumably right in the middle of this.
Right.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Boy, their podcasts are going to be way more interesting than ours.
I know, rats. I always miss these things. That's just me. It's like that time I turned my head and coughed, and as I was doing it, Paul McCartney drove by and said hello to everybody except for me because I wasn't paying attention. I always just miss these things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, knowing my luck 23 years ago, I would have overslept and missed my flight from Boston to Los Angeles on flight 11. I would have been just minutes late to the gates and missed that whole ordeal. That would have been me.
Yep.
But, and then much like Mark Wahlberg, had I been on the plane, I would have taken them down myself with my bare hands.
Little 12-year-old Jack.
Yes. I've told that story before here on the show where, according to my mother, we were supposed to be right there at ground zero at 8:46 a.m., where my mother then would have leapt into action and saved everybody.
Your mother's full of snot.
She really is.
No. She would have scaled the building, and she would have, karate chopped the plane out of the sky.
Yes, because she is a genetically modified, altered gorilla. Yeah. Yeah, someone just sitting in their car filming this whole thing. And this is why I say invest in a dash cam, by the way, because the like person who's filming this like drops their phone at the moment like the guy goes to shoot himself.
Yeah.
If you had your dash cam on, you would have gotten like high quality widescreen footage of this panoramic view.
I mean, do you want it though? Like, I don't want that.
I mean, it's not something I have any interest in watching, but I mean, I imagine like TMZ probably paid good money for whoever they got the footage from.
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's also the adrenaline rush then of seeing a couple dozen cops all of a sudden converging with rifles drawn. I wouldn't say that I'm in the middle of nowhere. It's just, again, things like this don't especially happen. Highways don't get shut down like this. Mm-hmm. It's just such a random thing that occurred.
Yeah.
Obviously, whatever this guy did, he felt was then enough to warrant just taking the coward's way out.
Well, presumably he shot and possibly killed a different person, is what I'm picking up. So
I don't think we know yet the condition of the person he shot.
No, not yet. I don't think so.
Yeah. So anyway, again, it was the middle for me. It's the middle of the work day, so I'm all bullshit now because like I have my computer with me, but I'm like, well, I'm not getting home anytime soon. I also really have to pee, which is the fault of the guy who just killed himself. So I had to, you know what I did? I finished my work day. I drove to Target. You know how Target has Starbucks in it?
Oh yeah.
I drove to Target. Pissed at the Starbucks, like right on the counter. Confused everybody behind the counter because I ordered a decaf, and they're like, "You're at Starbucks and you're getting a decaf coffee? What? No,
not that you pissed on the counter.
No, they didn't care about that. They're just like, oh, it's
that's just normal. A Wednesday.
Yeah. And then I had to. I felt like now I felt like a yuppie. Sitting in a Starbucks, not even a real Starbucks, a Target Starbucks, and finishing my day on their subpar free internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just mad because I was there because the highway was shut down.
God damn it!
Threw my whole day through a loop. So, but Becky keeps reminding me that I'm alive. And that's I could have been caught in crossfire. My car could have been shot at. I could have been carjacked.
And imagine how much more annoying you would sound if you actually got shot.
Yeah, God, think about how that would affect us. We'd have to listen to you. I got shot today.
And while Becky's standing over here, she's just yelling at me, just going, "You need to go to the hospital. You are bleeding. You are gangrenous, sir."
Look, we agreed 8:00.
Yeah, that's it. Podcast first. Keeping organs in body second. Crew expendable. But yeah, I would have. Yeah, they're right. Shot in the hand. Just another ailment to add to my right hand.
Yeah.
But which is fine. It's actually healed, shockingly enough. But yeah. So you're right. I would have been let's see, annoyed if my car got shot at. Annoyed if I'd been shot, but probably really excited to talk about getting carjacked.
Just, like, beg them to, like, can you please say this is a carjack and don't make it a murder?
I don't have to drop. Oh, if I get carjacked, I look forward to this moment, actually. I want to get carjacked because as I'm getting ripped out of the vehicle at gunpoint, I just want to go, that is my car. Or my toolbox. I don't have any of these in the soundboard. I'm sorry. I wish I did.
I'm surprised you don't.
In the Navy.
I have that. But yes, that was my day. So, Acc, did you avoid certain death today?
I mean, yeah, by considerably more than you did. No, I did not have anything interesting like that today. I did have to go into the office, but I take public transit. And while our public transit does frequently shit the bed pretty violently, I have, in my 10 years of living here and using it, managed to avoid all of those incidents. I just saw a picture like yesterday, I think, another Green Line train like massively derailed at the Leechmere station. Yeah. Yep. Which is past where I'm not anywhere near there, but yeah, I've never been on a train that has caught fire or exploded or gone off the rails or hit somebody or hit another train that was on fire or gone off the rails and then exploded and then hit somebody and then caught on fire.
Or just was driving and spontaneously caught fire.
Yeah.
These all sound like very specific instances.
I'm pretty sure every one of those has literally happened.
Yeah. Now, I'm guessing that you didn't go into work. This is probably about a month or two ago that like South Station got shut down in Boston because someone I think just jumped. Like someone effectively took their own lives, but it was right there at the station and just brought everything to a standstill during the evening commute.
I actually get out one station before South Station, so.
Oh, okay. You avoid all that.
I do remember that, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I actually, my station I get off from for work is Park Street, which for those of you who've played Fallout 4 is where you recruit Nick Valentine for the first time.
Oh, awesome.
Inside Park Street Station.
Okay. That actually helped me visualize it. Thank you. I know exactly what you're talking about. Zach, have you ever been on public transport and had it go haywire?
Public transport? Not really. Not that I can think of. I mean, most of the time I've been in public transport where something seemed off. Thankfully, it was like the, catatonic zombie kind of style of like person kind of being off. It was just like, okay, just don't look in their general direction or face in that general direction or make too many noises in that general direction. But like, most of my weird experiences has just kind of been like, I remember once I was taking a commuter rail out of Grafton into Boston, and I went to sit down and somebody had literally just taken a huge shit. It was just underneath the stool. It was just there. It was just like it was a big, like you could tell it was a human. Like
it didn't even get, like there's woods like 5 feet away from that station.
No, just like it literally looked like they just pulled their pants down and then just did it like right there. Like and then just kind of left it there. I think about that sometimes.
That was malicious. They shat with intent.
Was it like a perfectly coiled snake?
No, it was like a like you know those like the Tootsie Rolls where it's like the big pieces of the Tootsie Roll.
Oh yeah.
It was like a jumbo king size of that.
That's how my next door neighbor. I apologized to him one day because I needed to go out and scoop up all the dog shit from between our yard, and I texted and I told him like, hey, I'm gonna go do that in like 10 minutes, and he's like, it's not a problem, man. I just saw one little Tootsie Roll out there. I'm like, well, thanks. I didn't like Tootsie Rolls to begin with, but now I really don't like them.
And this is why I exclusively eat the fruity ones.
I like the fruity
because like they're the better ones, especially.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think I have like. I think like the most excitement I've had on any sort of public transport was watching some kid back in like middle school or elementary school. Like he was being such a belligerent asshole that like the bus actually got brought back to our school, and the principal boarded the bus and like picked the kid up and dragged him off, and the kid was just literally kicking and screaming.
Wait, I vaguely remember this happening.
Oh, I wish I filmed it.
Why does this sound so familiar?
You might have been there, man. You might have been there, and it was. I don't remember who it is, so like I wouldn't be able to tell you off air.
Yeah, no, I do remember. I remember vividly this happening. I don't remember being a part of it, but I do remember hearing about this story.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was your elementary school or middle school, because in middle school they had what was called the late bus. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
It had to be middle school.
Yeah. I fucking lived on that bus because my mother would do everything in her power to get me to never come home. So,
I mean, it's like you're not that far. Like it would be really easy for them to get you.
You would think so. Yes. In fact, and then like at times I would even make that walk. And it was a long walk.
Okay, but that's a considerable walk, though, from the middle school to where you used to live.
Yeah, it's a long walk, but at least it's like the route is somewhat direct.
Mm-hmm.
But my mother every day after school was like, well, you're terrible at everything. You're failing. So you're going to stay after school every day and take whatever extra help they can give you because you need all the help in the world. And you're not getting from me. Because I've failed at my basic duties. And don't you think about coming home until you've learned. So, rather than pick me up, you're going to pick me up. You're going to pick me up. You had to take the late bus, which left at like 4 p.m. And that was a fucking scary experience, the late bus, because, you take the school bus and, you have a route, like every bus has a route depending on the neighborhood in which you live. And, you can usually expect the trip to take the same amount of time every day. Usually I was fortunate enough to only be on the bus for maybe like 20 minutes. No, the late bus traveled all over town.
Yeah.
To parts of town I didn't know existed.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the absolute scourge of the public school system was on that bus.
Oh yeah, there were no laws. Civilized society has forsaken the late bus.
You got on that bus and there was just graffiti everywhere, and there was just like muffled hip hop music.
Particularly burly friggin' fifth grader like shaving with a razor blade.
He's just perpetually shaving. That's just what he does. There's a 13-year-old mother who has to get home to her kids.
I always have loved that in like shows like Hey Arnold, when the older kids are depicted as just these like hulking monstrosities, and yet when you think about it, you're like, oh, they're 11 instead of 10, but they look like 35-year-old convicted felons.
Torvalds everywhere. Torvalds and Wolfgangs. There's like, you get on the late bus and there's just a group of kids just in the back playing dominoes. I get on this one of the sixth graders just opens up like a raincoat. It's full of gadgets. What you got? What you got? I got what you need.
It's full of penny candy. Capri Suns.
It was the early 2000s. There was like off-brand Discmans. Very stolen electronics, like a stolen Game Boy. Now, if anyone asks where you got this, you didn't get it from me or this late bus. Yeah, that. And the most infuriating thing about it, Acc, you didn't live too far from our middle school.
Right. I walked pretty. I feel like the first year I took the bus, but then 7th and 8th grade, I realized like it's a 25-minute bus ride or a 30-minute walk. I might as well just walk.
Right. And that's exercise.
Yeah.
And it was very direct. And
yeah.
Relatively.
So one would think, like, look at a list of like who's on. And that's the thing. There was never like, I don't know how they knew where to go. I don't know how this route was determined. Because it's
bus magic.
I don't think they had a list of like every kid who was on the bus, so you could then kind of make out where the bus would need to go around town.
Mm-hmm.
So, Acc, you live very close to the middle school. You would be the last stop because that's
exactly. That's exactly what happened. It would like go like one street over, and I distinctly recall, I think I tried to get off at that stop and they were like, no, you cannot get off at a stop that is not yours. You must wait on the bus until we've come the full length of the town and come approaching the same street from the other direction. Then you may get off the bus.
Yeah.
So I think that was when I finally just went, okay, I am going to walk.
The late bus too. Like the shady clientele aside, the trip in total took about 3 hours.
Oof.
Yeah, it was a hike and a half. Mm-hmm. And I was more often than not the last stop. There was one day, I think it was like the first time I took it, and somehow they never even went anywhere close to my neighborhood. So I'm literally the last one on the bus, and the bus driver's like, "Why are you still here?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, you've driven nowhere near where I live," which is kind of astounding if you think about it, because my house is off a main road. So I would get home maybe like, I don't know, 6:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one time I remember then getting admonished by my mother because I got home too late. Like I'm not kidding when I'm like just unpacking over the years, especially recent years, just the levels of abuse I went through growing up, because now I'm in trouble for coming home late upon taking the incredibly after school bus that I was instructed to forced to take.
You see, realistically now, like hearing all that, it kind of makes sense why you would complain about some dude, offing himself, inconveniencing you for like realistically an extra 20, 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Your trauma of being late was awakened today.
Yep. Yeah, it was growing up. It was like, if I again may quote this little known show called The Simpsons. But Mrs. Skinner demanding that the grocery store bag boy put all of her groceries into one bag, but the bag can't be heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my life growing up. But anyway, that was the late bus. There was one day where this chick had a migraine and spewed. So we had to spend 3 hours on the bus with that. It was not taken care of.
That's pleasant.
Yeah. And then I think I refused to walk by it because it was like midway, like a seat, like midway down the bus. So when it was time for me to get off the bus, I just went out through the emergency exit. I'm like, I'm not walking by that shit. And then there was another day where they tricked everybody, and it said that there was a camera installed on the bus because there were so much shenanigans that had gone down on it in weeks prior. And for that entire bus ride, like everyone just sat in silence, like just sitting straight ahead, like feet forward. And that lasted about a week.
I bet there was never. I remember that all those like, oh, there's a camera on the back. There's never been a camera on the bus. They're too poor for that.
Right. Yeah. But we were dumb kids.
Yeah.
You kids don't know what you want because you're stupid.
I think, Zach, the day that kid got pulled off the bus kicking and screaming, our principal then like just took the bus home like with us, like just decided like he would get on the bus with us and ride the rest of the way just to make sure no further riffraff occurred. And I remember like all of us were like pressing him with like normal everyday questions. And we're all like, we watched the Disney Channel. We like this on the Disney Channel. He's like, I like Seinfeld. We're like, you're old. You're old and unfun.
When you said he took the bus home, my first thought was he like shooed everyone off the bus, drove the bus home, and just didn't bring it back, leaving all the children in the school parking lot looking around at each other going, so how do we get home?
Hey, wait a minute. We got no parents. How are we getting home?
It would have been funnier if he said he liked Frasier.
That would have been apropos. Frasier was still on at the time, so like
it was.
Yeah, this guy's over here watching Seinfeld. But yes,
I hit each of those notes.
You did great. I'm very impressed.
That was impressive.
Yeah, I don't do the singing for nothing.
Well, yeah, I think for me that being on that bus was a rite of passage. That's how I because obviously it was, you know, we're teenagers, like 12, 13 years old. That was like my awakenings moment right there.
Yeah, you totally made me forget about all of that because I remember being like viscerally afraid of being late to get and having to take the late bus because that's just like the only thing I remember is like when you take the late bus, it goes wherever it needs to go, and like you don't get to choose where to go.
I don't think I ever took the late bus once, and I think I also remember having a lot of anxiety that I distinctly remember thinking like only the biggest pieces of shit in the middle school take the late bus. If I take the late bus, they're going to kill me. They're going to take one look at me, go, look at this fucking dork. And they're just going to murder me with a knife. And then the police are going to investigate and they're going to say, why'd you do it? And then go, look at him. He was a fucking nerd. And they're going to go, fair, no charges.
Yeah, never trust a school bus that when you get on it, there's clotheslines with like wet socks drying.
Someone's boiling some noodles for mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Someone's in a seat just making swill.
Yeah, there's a burning trash can. People are warming their hands over.
On the school bus.
Somehow this became a Futurama skit.
We go full Terminator. There's just like a burnt out television. Like the innards are taken out and there's just a fire inside and there's people just huddled around it staring at it.
I want there to be one person on the late bus who tells people, step into my office, and then goes and sits in one very specific seat.
It's just something like,
I heard you need some information.
It's like a random, just like an old guy who's like, yep, been on this late bus coming up on 30 years now. Can tell you some of the shit I've seen.
They forgot to drop me off back in 72, and I've never had the heart to tell them.
I'm going into the south part of town now. You don't go into the south part of town, but you hire me, and I can get you through the south part of town.
And then you turn away, you look back, and he disappears.
Yep.
Because it's October. Ooh.
He was a skeleton all along.
He was never there. He was a ghost.
Speaking of Hey Arnold, that like the Ghost Train episode is definitely one of my like favorites from like that time frame.
Is that when they get stuck on the subway? Like, or is that a different?
No, that was a different one.
Or is that the Weezenette episode?
Well, okay, so there are two different Stuck on the Subway episodes, because there's the one where the power just goes out and all the people are going stir crazy. But then there's the one where they're trying to investigate the ghost train and they think it's taking them to hell. But then it turns out it's just taking them to like an oil refinery that smells like hell.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm my first thought would be, I mean, the late post was very much you had someone not there who would just yell at people to get out of my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Nickelodeon shows, you bring up Hey Arnold. I'll bring up Rugrats because it was announced today that Paramount is going to be producing a live action Rugrats. I think a film.
Are they going to be doing the weird like live action Disney thing with the Lion King and like taking real babies and making them really terrifying to like
making real babies and like giving them the Sonic one like a prequel like baby treatment, make them look really Lovecraftian and like Uncanny Valley? Because if that's what they're doing, then I mean I still don't want to see it, but like because who like I don't care that we are getting older. Like, who of us want to see that? Like, and where are they so I can violently shake them and ask them why? Because I don't get it.
That just seems disturbing and strange.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, don't forget, many years ago, there is a film series called Baby Geniuses.
Oh, that's right.
And it's pretty much going to be this. We're on Threads at Hardly Focused. I posted in response when I saw this news about the live action Rugrats, and I said, yeah, because this worked so well the first time, and posted a poster for the first Baby Geniuses film, which had a little subtitle under it touting it as a live action Rugrats. It was like, a quote from a review.
Mm-hmm.
From some
and tell me, what was the Rotten Tomatoes score of this movie?
It was
it in the positives?
it was so bad that score could not be represented by a number. But somehow it got a sequel called Super Babies.
Yes,
and that was even worse. That, like, if you look up the worst films ever made, the Baby Geniuses series is on there. And I think that to top it all off, both films were directed by Bob Clark, who is best known for directing A Christmas Story, which I love. It was such a great film. And the dude's legacy before he passed away, the note that he went out on was not only Baby Geniuses, but Baby Geniuses 2.
Yeah.
And they used CGI with that first movie because that was like, it came out in the late 90s. And the technology,
late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah. The technology was like, had just hit a point where you could CGI like, mouths. And I forget, it starts with a V, whatever the term is for like mouth movements relative to like the sound that they're making. Like, the shape that a mouth makes if you're saying like K or P. They were able to do that. It's like when Conan O'Brien would do, you have the celebrity up, a picture of the celebrity, and all that was moving was the mouth. And it was very obviously someone else's mouth. That's what Baby Geniuses was. And it freaked everybody the fuck out.
Yeah, nobody liked this. This is taking an already iffy subject when it comes to entertainment, babies, and making it even more disturbing and uncomfortable to be staring at for several hours at a time.
I think what I dislike about this the most is that Mikey Day from Saturday Night Live is co-writing the script for this.
No, I don't know who that is.
Me neither.
He's been on SNL for a long time. He's been on for probably about 10 years now.
Wow.
But
10 years of which I have not watched probably a single episode.
Yeah, I'm glad he's been able to pay his bills.
Yeah. So
good for him.
No idea when this is coming out. Hopefully it gets canceled mid-development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just can't help. Okay, so literally like 10 minutes before the show started, I saw on X.com, formerly known as Twitter, some account posted a generative AI video of babies dressed up as food walking down a model runway. And it was one of those things where it's like the AI is getting really scarily good, and it looked very, very realistic, except for certain moments where it becomes just horrifying enough to become absolute fucking nightmare fuel. And that is immediately where my mind went with this like live action Rugrats. Is they're going to try to use like AI or something to create babies, and it's just going to be a Lovecraftian nightmare.
Yeah, there's that CGI Rugrats that's on right now on Paramount.
Yeah.
And that alone, just in CGI form, is horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And just imagine, like, if it doesn't translate well in the CGI, how's it going to translate into live action?
Exactly. Yeah.
And the thing that freaks me out the most, I'm going to be turning 35 soon.
Mm-hmm.
Stu Pickles was 35.
Oof.
Yeah.
You're about to wake up making pudding at 2 a.m., not knowing what's going on with your life.
I mean, I've been doing that my whole life. Like I don't need to be 35 and taking orders from a 3-year-old to be doing that. Although when I was babysitting Mike's kids, this was a couple weeks ago, so I'm babysitting Mike's kids, and I'm like in the process of like getting ready to leave, and Mike's daughter, who's 4, I think, just like I go and I bring his son something from the kitchen, and then Gigi looks at me and just goes, "Bring me milk." And I did. I didn't even think twice.
Okay.
She just she told me to do something, and I did it.
Look, you know who the boss is here. I know who the boss is here. I'm not going to make any trouble.
and like while I'm doing it, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, why did I just bend to the will of a 4-year-old? A 4-year-old just demanded I do something, and I did it for her, no questions asked.
Buckled instantly.
Like
there is a man with no dignity to lose.
Okay. That was it. That was pretty much it. I'm like, what am I doing here? This is why I don't have kids.
The OG goon, just you got it, boss.
Okay, I will say, Acc, that the last face on that baby definitely is not working.
Like a lot of them, like it's one of those things where it's like the more it works, the more it doesn't work. I can't really explain it because it's obviously very impressively progressed to a point of extreme realism, and that just makes it more unsettling and off-putting.
Is this like sort of in the vein of like when like people are making like AI live action Simpsons introductions?
Yes. Yeah, it's the same thing, but it's got like just in the past month or two, I've seen some that have like, I don't know if a new update to whatever program they use was released, but like they have been getting a lot more realistic. Like there's still weird fucking things that happen in them, but the depictions of the human beings look like real normal human beings, which is terrifying to me.
But you look closer and you see that they have like 14 fingers and there's
it's
a
like
foot coming out of their stomach.
The more proper and realistic they come to look, the more deeply unsettling it is when something is wrong.
Yeah.
And there are those moments where like 2 hands will fuse together, or an extra finger will grow out of nowhere, or something in the background will start floating. And it's like, oh, now that was already creepy, but now it's way creepier when everything else looks so close to normal.
Mm-hmm. There's a Reddit thread about the Rugrats live action film, and someone asked, will they bring back the old cast for the babies or hire celebrity actors to play them? And someone responded, Tom Holland as Tommy. Someone followed up with Chris Pratt as Dill.
Well, the original actress who played Chucky,
Christine Cavanaugh. She's long
Christine
since
Cavanaugh.
dead.
She's dead. Yeah, that's what I thought. She passed away of cancer, right?
She did. You know who took over the voice of Chucky? Because she retired. No, she retired. I think in the 90s, and she was at the time. She was also the voice of Dexter.
Yeah,
on Dexter's Lab. So,
and wasn't she also the voice of the bunny in the Sonic Saturday morning cartoon?
You're right, Bunny Rabbit.
Bunny Rabbit.
Yep. And she was Oblina.
Yep.
On Our Real Monster. So she's a very prolific voice actress, but she retired in the 90s. So yeah, her roles recast. Nancy Cartwright became the voice of Chucky and continues to voice Chucky to this day, because on the CGI series on Paramount, at least for the babies, are being voiced by their original actresses. Never mind the fact that all of them are in their 60s to 70s.
Right.
Whereas the adults have all been recast, and none of, with the exception of the guy that plays Stu Pickles, none of them sound like the original actors. And Michael McKean is voicing Grandpa. Like that's like, that's where we're at now, where Grandpa, who's supposed to be like 90 years old, and we talk about the good old days of the Great Depression. Well, now because we've things have to be contemporary now. Grandpa's a hippie. He's a flower child.
That's right. Yeah.
He's like a Woodstock. He went to Woodstock. So the live. I mean, everything's getting the live action treatment. Rugrats is next on the list, and I hope Angelica gets hit by a car.
That 3-year-old can fucking suffer for all I care.
I don't know what kind of family you're from, Deed, but in my family, we wore clothes. Except, of course, for Great Aunt Lois, but that's another story.
I have this sound drop labeled as Kate. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever had an opportunity to play that when she was here, so there you go. All right. Speaking of little bitches, the vice presidential debate happened on October 1st. And the last time we did an installment of the Acc and Jack show, the presidential debate was happening.
Yeah, that's right.
We piped in audio of that, but otherwise missed all of the good parts. So it was only, as it usually goes on this show, after we had stopped recording, when we were made aware of this.
They're eating the dogs.
So
which quickly spawned many different things on the internet.
Oh my God, yes.
They're eating the pets.
Concepts of plans. I don't have a drop of that, but concepts of plans is my new one of my new favorite go-tos. So the vice presidential debate happened, and between JD Vance, who fucks couches, and Tim Walz, who builds couches, and no one tell him that there's always a possibility that Vance will fuck it.
Let the poor man live in blissful ignorance.
I should have reversed that. I should have introduced Walz first. It would have been funnier.
Well. Walz, what happens when you don't have show prep?
You're right. Like, if I don't have it written down in front of me, I'm just like staring at a wall. I need a teleprompter in front of me. But it feels like the old days of the show. So I did prepare enough that I got some sound drops from the debate last night. But first and foremost, I think we are just so desensitized now to, I mean, we've had two presidential debates with two different Democratic candidates. And then, like, I know there was the VP debate in 2020, but like, all I can think of is just the presidential debates and just how those just spiral out of control immediately.
Yep.
So I think I probably said the same thing about the 2020 VP debate, but watching the one the other night between Walz and Vance, just the amount of decorum, how cordial they were, how for the most part respectful of each other's time, like how succinct they were, how they like their ability to articulate. I'm like, what the hell am I watching? What is going on right now? This is normal, and because of that, it's abnormal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Trump completely decimated the Overton window of normalcy,
Mm-hmm.
and made like every single thing Trump does is the most insane thing that has ever happened in American politics. But he's been doing that weekly, at least, for going on 10 years now.
Yeah.
Right. Trump announced his first presidential campaign in 2015. So we're almost at the decade mark of Trump being a political figure, and basically weekly for 10 years has done the new most insane thing that has ever happened in American politics. So, yeah, it's hard to remember that when Trump isn't in the headlights, like, things don't have to be this way.
Yeah.
things can be better. And, you know, I want to be very clear. I don't like J.D. Vance. I don't like his policies. I will be very happy to vote against him. But I got to give the guy credit for being able to be a human being for 2 straight hours on television.
Yeah.
Which is something Trump simply cannot do.
So this part, we actually, Becky and I listened to this last night. We actually replayed it. Like right after we heard it, we queued it back up so we could listen to it again. Mm-hmm. You would have never heard what I'm about to play between Trump and whoever Trump would be debating. Mm-hmm. This just wouldn't have happened, especially hearing it from a Republican on the Republican side. And this was in regards to a question about gun control. Mm-hmm. And Walz answered first, and then I cut it up because the answer obviously 2 minutes long. Don't want to listen to the whole thing, but cut it up. Walz's answer, and then the beginning of Vance's response.
I got a 17-year-old, and he witnessed a shooting at a community center playing volleyball. Those things don't leave you.
Tim, first of all, I didn't know that your 17-year-old witnessed a shooting. I'm sorry about that, and I hope that he's doing okay. So. Christ have mercy. It is awful.
Yeah, I mean, I caught that moment too, and you're right. That was something that's basically unheard of. Trump will probably make a joke about that at a rally at some point. Trump is a behemoth of a human being. He's just an absolutely just an animal.
Yeah. Even Vance made a face too while Walz was saying that. Mm-hmm. That I don't know if it's just something that Vance always does, if it's like a nervous tick, but like when he said, when you mentioned the thing about his son getting shot, and you hear Vance say something, I'll play it again, because you hear him say something like kind of almost under his breath.
I got a 17-year-old, and he witnessed a shooting at a community center playing volleyball. Those things don't leave you.
Yeah, when he's awful. Awful. And when he said it, like he kind of like his eyes kind of like went wide for a second. Like,
yeah, I'm sure that was a genuine human reaction. But again, something I don't think Trump has ever had in his life.
Sure. But at the same time, Vance is also the guy that when that school shooting in Georgia happened a few weeks ago, Vance said that these things are just a way of life.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's important to remember, too. Vance is choosing to sane wash Donald Trump. Right. I mean, that was his entire mission statement for the VP debate was, you know, basically the moderators would go, you know, President Trump recently claimed the most insane thing you've ever heard in your life. Can you elaborate? And J.D. Vance would go, well, what he really meant by that was he feels a deep concern for the manufacturing industry in the United States. It's like, no, what he means is what he says. And what he says is usually something along the lines of the Mexicans have teamed up with the aliens to steal all of my water. You know, like... I can't poop in the toilet anymore.
That's not
because
true.
They took all the water.
What I was trying to say was I fucked Laura Loomer. And I fucked her because some would say it was the best sex she's ever had.
While Vance is up there defending him.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I hope nobody falls for it. I hope nobody goes, oh, Vance made Trump sound so reasonable and lovely. It's like, well, there's a reason Trump can't do that for himself, because he's not those things.
Yeah, I think he's just a bootlicker, Vance.
He is. And you know, I do think the fact that he was notably anti-Trump, right? And they did call him out on that at the debate. And then he switched to being pro-Trump. I really think the one criteria Trump had for a VP candidate this time around is who is the biggest weenie who will do whatever I tell them to, no questions asked. And I think Vance has proven he's willing to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And say you need someone to look the other way when it's time to certify electors. I'm your guy.
Yeah. I think we've talked about this before, but there's the hypothesis that say Trump and Vance get elected, then he's going to try to push Trump out so then he can, 25th can be invoked and he becomes president.
Mm-hmm.
Which, boy, that is a nightmare I don't want to live.
Yeah, wow, that'd be fascinating. I mean, boy, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. It would be kind of hilarious to see that happen to Trump, but not that anything good would come of it.
I mean, have we ever had a president in the past that wore eyeliner?
Don't know.
By the way, hey, Jimmy Carter made it to 100. He did.
Yeah, good for him, Jimmy boy.
I kept saying hold out until like mid-October. So you can, if I feel like it wouldn't count if he died on October 1st, like on his birthday. Like you have to let it sit for a few days just to solidify that you made it. So he made it. If he can make it another month, and I won't hold it against him if he doesn't, but if he can make it another month, I know he wants to vote for Kamala.
Yeah, he said like a couple months ago that was his goal at this point, live long enough to vote for her.
But you know who he looks like now? Remember on SpongeBob? There was like the really, really, really old like fish in the sitting in the
I
wheelchair.
love the young people.
I don't even think that was him. It was a different old guy.
Yeah, are you talking the one who's like a brain stem on a chair?
Yes,
basically.
Was that a grandma?
Yeah.
Yeah. That there's a picture yesterday like of Jimmy Carter outside and he's like in a wheelchair and it's from afar, but my word, it's a ghoul.
Well, I mean, I've seen pictures from that event much more up close. He doesn't look better.
No. I mean, he's been in hospice for over a year now.
Yeah.
Usually
people
go to hospice.
Thought he was a goner.
You go to hospice
quite a while ago.
And when you go to hospice, you're usually not going to live for much longer.
Mm-hmm.
So.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Zach, you were thinking of this.
I love the young people.
Yes.
There were a lot of times, too, that I clocked Vance telling Walz, I agree with you. Like, there wasn't like, they were debating, but there were a lot of things I feel like that, and I wouldn't be able to name one off the top of my head. I just feel like I heard more often than not Vance telling him, like, I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Walz said the same thing in reverse. I mean, they at least claim to have similar stated goals buried somewhere within the realm of reality.
Mm-hmm. They, like, if they, like, cut each other off, they apologized.
Mm-hmm.
That unheard of.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a lot of people online on X.com, formerly known as Twitter, sort of complaining that Walz wasn't going on the attack as much. Like, Vance would say something obviously inflammatory or untrue, and Walz would just sort of let it slide and focus on something else. And people were like, why aren't you, attacking more? But I kind of feel like that was the point of making Walz the VP pick, is his appeal is that kind of Midwestern gentle friendliness.
Oh yeah.
I think Kamala is her own attack dog. Kamala is someone who can very effectively tear shut someone to shreds. And Walz is the one in the back and going, oh, they're there now. It's okay. You did your best, Sonny. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, you did pretty good catch, fucker.
He just calls him son. Everybody is son.
Yeah.
I think there was only one instance of a fact check that occurred.
Yeah.
And it was in regards.
Vance got mad at it.
Yeah, it was in regards to what's been going on in Springfield, Ohio, exacerbated by what Trump said during the presidential debate. But here's the clip of Vance getting upset because he got fact checked by Margaret Brennan.
Just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status temporary protected status.
Well,
Nora?
Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the
debate,
economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
The rules were that you guys weren't going to
we're-
fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own
Thank you, Senator, for
leadership.
describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those
We have
laws
so
have been on
much.
the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
we
CBP
want to have.
One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process.
And I didn't see this. I was listening to it, so I didn't actually see it when it happened. And when they got cut off, when Vance got cut off, Margaret Brennan had the biggest smile on her face. Like she was happy that happened.
Yeah. Like you could tell that thank you for describing the legal process is just like, that's something that every woman who has ever been mansplained to before has wanted to say to a VP candidate on national television. I don't doubt.
Yeah, that's almost as good as when Kamala said to Pence a few years ago, "I'm speaking."
Yeah.
Oh, that was the only time that happened.
You know what's funny? I don't remember the Harris-Pence debate at all. I don't even know if I watched it. I saw someone reference it, and it occurred to me. I was like, I remember the Biden-Trump debate. I don't remember anything about the Harris-Pence debate. I might have been busy that night and just never watched it afterwards. I just unless nothing interesting happened, and I just blocked it out.
I completely forgot about it until when we started talking about this just now.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered that we talked about it on the show, but it was in the same vein as this debate where we were talking about the stark contrast between that debate and the presidential one at the time, because I can't remember if the VP debate was sandwiched in between the two that Trump and Biden had years ago, because the first one was an absolute chaotic mess. And then the second one, they muted the mics.
Yeah.
And I feel like Pence and Harris were in between. And we were like taken aback because they were both just like this. They were cordial. Pence said very like nice and respectful things about his opponent. And then I, obviously debated, and it was a heated debate. And Kamala.
I'd like to thank the moderators for being here so that I'm not alone, unattended with another woman. Mother would be most displeased if that were the case. It's important to remember that even the most cordial and polite of Republicans are still deeply strange people.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Always.
Yeah. Maybe it's a good thing if the debate went off without a hitch. That if we don't remember it, that has to be a good thing.
Yeah. I think people take that for granted, that there was a time before Trump when politics could be pretty boring and you didn't have to be constantly having a fucking panic attack or losing your goddamn mind over what was going to happen.
Right.
We don't have to live like that. We can just kick Trump out of politics, never vote for him again, and move on with our lives. Like, that's an option. I hope people take it.
Well, 45% of the country would disagree with the Acc, and that's the saddest thing.
Yeah, and what sucks too, what's fascinating, I think, the best explanation I've heard, right? Because Biden and Harris both had low approval ratings when Biden was the candidate. As soon as Biden stepped down and Harris took over, her approval rating shot up by about 20 points. And she started leading in all the polls Biden was losing in. And I've read a lot of people wondering, like a lot of articles, a lot of interviews and editorials, like, what is going on here? Why is this the case? And one that I saw that really rang true for me was the median voters' stance on politics since 2016 is make it stop. And Biden just because he was the candidate against Trump in 2020, Biden has become enveloped in it. Like, I just want all of this to stop. And that includes Biden running, that includes Trump running, that includes COVID, that includes all the craziness, that includes QAnon, that includes January 6th. I want that to go away. And Kamala Harris was disassociated, was distant enough that when she came in, it was a breath of fresh air of finally someone who's not all that mess.
Yeah.
So, I that explanation resonated with me. I think that feels true to me. So I'm hoping that plays out that way in November.
I mean, the fact alone that how much money is she making in like the course of a day through campaign donations is like $20 million or something like that.
Oh yeah. All-time world record.
Yeah. In a day.
Yep.
In a day. Very quickly, Walz straight up, not even Nora O'Donnell or Margaret Brennan asking this question. It was Walz asking this question of Vance, and Vance just skating around it.
He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
Yeah. Good response.
Yep.
And I've seen that. Apparently, Donald Trump's attacks on democracy and the democratic process is thankfully considered very important by voters. I've seen issue polling shows that like after inflation in the economy, preserving democracy is like the second most important issue to American voters. So, and that's definitely an issue that Trump cannot win on. So,
yep. This thing that you sent over to me and Zach, Acc.
The babies,
before the baby. Oh, I just looked at that. That's fucking terrifying. I finally just looked at it. It's horrible. I like the little black kid dressed as an egg, though. That's adorable.
My one comment was it necessary for the children to become Asian for the bowl of ramen and sushi costumes?
Yeah, that one got a little.
There's something going on there.
Yeah, we got a little questionable there. I wasn't gonna say anything, but yeah. Sounds like Jack Smith is up to his usual tricks. And I know it sounds malicious, but big news with Jack Smith.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? 165-page unsealed document.
Yep.
And it's what was the wording? I'm blanking on the wording. He would commit basically somewhere in this massive document, it's something like, in order to stay in power, Trump would commit crimes, plural, to stay in power.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, that's, yeah, that's what's up right now. So this is, I feel like every day, not every day, but every so often something new comes out with Smith versus Trump.
And he proceeds to respond. Hold on. I sent you one that was just him. He just truth socialed the word Russia like 35 times in a row. But
Control V, Control V, Control V.
Yeah, there was another post he made. And again, this is one all caps run-on sentence. Whether now the fully debunked Russia, Iran, Ukraine, 51 intelligence agents spying on my campaign, impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, or any of the other scams, this illegal action taken by the Justice Department, including their raid on Mar-a-Lago for a case that was dismissed, will end just like all of the others with complete victory for President Donald J. Trump. Make America great again.
You just, your inflection in your voice, you know that's in all caps.
Yeah, all caps, no periods.
And then, of course, Trump will come out and say, that's not what I said. I said, I ran so far away. I couldn't get away. And again, if I may repeat, we are running without a prep sheet. So what you sent to me, Acc, I have it pulled up. The thing I'm staring at it, and then I second guess myself. So then I pull up my phone, and we are effectively looking at the same article.
Right.
Among some of the things that Jack Smith's 165 page novel. Again, I say it maliciously. I'm poking fun at it, but it's it's legit. FBI knows how Trump used his phone on January 6th. Prosecutors framed Trump conversations with Pence as between running mates. Trump personally tweeted Pence didn't have the courage to overturn the election.
Yep. Yeah, and like I kind of hate that there's still this like you're not allowed to just acknowledge that he's done all these things. Like people, like civilized people, like our enlightened betters in like centrist media and legacy media will treat you like a hysterical cow for pointing these things out. But like Trump has like said all these things with his mouth in front of cameras and microphones that he won. They shouldn't have certified the electors, that the January 6th protesters were good and did the right thing. He has gone on record. He wants to pardon every single one of them if elected.
Isn't he holding like a gala for them too?
I think so. Yeah. Like, I don't know what the details are, what his plan is, but yeah, he's been extremely supportive. He's been very clear. He thinks it was good and should happen again if necessary. And like, if you point this out, people are like, no, you're being hysterical. He's not a threat. You're being ridiculous. Stick to the issues. It's like, oh, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Secret Service was warned about Pence's safety. I heard something that when the riots started, the Secret Service wanted to collect Pence to take him somewhere safe, and he just straight up said, "No, I'm not going with you," because he knows if he goes with them, they're just going to take him right back to Trump.
Right. Boy, wouldn't that be something? Make Trump do the deed himself.
Yeah. All right. Finally, we'll end with this. Saturday Night Live. We talked about that a little while ago because apparently I'm the only one in the room, in this room anyway, that watches Saturday Night Live. But it's back, and the cold open, no surprise, was in reference to the debates that have occurred. Pretty much, they're going to cover everything while they were away, and the people who are playing everybody involved with the election, like we knew Maya Rudolph would be back as Kamala Harris, but we didn't really know who was going to be portraying everybody else. We've got Jim Gaffigan as Tim Walz.
Yeah, that was good.
Yep, great casting. We have Andy Samberg as Doug Ermoff, the second gentleman, and Bowen Yang. I'm a little surprised that they went with Bowen Yang about this. I can only imagine that the person that he's portraying is really happy about an Asian guy playing him, but Bowen Yang is playing J.D. Vance. James Austin Johnson remains as Donald Trump, and then they introduce Joe Biden, played by someone who hasn't played Joe Biden before on SNL, and that would be Dana Carvey.
Oh, Dana.
One of the most prolific SNL cast members, and this was Dana Carvey as Joe Biden on SNL.
Okay, listen up, everyone. We couldn't have gotten here without one man, and his name is Joe Biden. Get on out here, Joe Biden.
And he looks just like him, too. And he walks just like him.
Folks, that's right. A lot of people forget I'm president, including me. But guess what? And by the way, I think I did a pretty good job. I passed more bills than any president in history. But folks, we still got work to do, no joke. I'm being serious right now, come on. And guess what? And by the way, the fact of the matter is, the rich don't pay their fair share. They gotta pay the fair share. We gotta build back better. The build back the better, the better, the better, the better. Build back the better. Can't believe it's not butter.
Thank you, Jabari. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I was watching, every once in a while I do this. I will, out of boredom, watch like news coverage from 9/11 because it's fascinating. I find it fascinating. Yeah. And at one point they're talking to Biden, and this is 20 plus years ago, and boy, what a difference 20 years makes.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't he originally like a record holder for youngest member of Congress or something?
I think he was.
Which is kind of funny that he then went on to break the record for oldest president.
And he dedicated his life to this, like quite literally.
Yeah.
Like from the start. I mean, like you have your Strom Thurmonds, for example, who lasted, until they were like 110. Mm-hmm. But like Biden right out the womb was in politics. Dana Carvey doing a fantastic impersonation of him.
Yeah, that was very good.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see if they're going to keep this cast intact during the election season, because all eyes have been on, especially who's going to play Walz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking forward to see what they have here. Looking forward to see what the debate looks like. Their cold open this coming week has to be about the debate, the VP debate.
I'm assuming it will be. Yeah.
The rest of the episode, wasn't that good.
I saw a lot of screenshots of a guy in a Moo Dang costume, but I didn't.
Yeah, I was wondering why I had that phrase jumbling around in my head today. Why am I thinking of the phrase Moo Dang? I must have seen something and I was like half asleep about it.
Okay, I have a question. What is a Moo Dang?
It's a baby pygmy hippo. It was born in a Taiwanese zoo, and it's cute, so the internet has fallen madly in love with it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that the internet will always, fall madly in love with: cute things, and abject, horrible bullshit.
Exactly.
Like this.
Fuck to it.
Yeah,
I am very upset that she has like that top third podcast.
I was just gonna say, let us not speak ill of our betters, okay?
Right? Like seriously, like fuck us, right? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, number 3 behind Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I mean, it's like realistically, I don't really want to be on that list, so I'm fine with what we're doing.
Right.
Yeah, I did see one great post about it was on yesterday, Jimmy Carter's birthday. That was just like, Jimmy Carter was born the year Lennon died and is alive at the creation of the Hot Talk Tua podcast. What a life.
You know what? He's probably a big fan. Probably loves her.
And probably loves drinking Prime.
You can imagine 100-year-old Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter drinking Prime. I could see it.
That's how he keeps his youthful appearance.
Oh God, nobody should drink that shit.
Like kissing
realistically.
It's like kissing a peanut, he says. Have you had the Feastables at all?
I don't know what that is. So
yeah, what the fuck you just say? Did you have a stroke?
You know that MrBeast dude?
Oh, those things.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, he has a product line?
Yeah, like you can find him at Walmart, and every
Good
time
Lord, I hate this world.
Every time I see them, they're like heavily discounted. Like they have so much of this stock and they're just trying to get rid of it.
Well, yeah, nobody wants to buy the stuff from the guy that's like, propping up pedophiles.
Yeah, I torture people for fun.
Oh, also that.
YouTube videos.
Also that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's not having a good any of the last couple months.
It's a bad year for Beast Summer.
Yes. As the internet calls him, I guess.
Nah, I just decided to call him.
Do you think Jimmy Carter was having a brat summer?
I hope so. He's earned it. I mean, he looks kind of like a bratwurst, so.
It'll be a brat summer. Oh,
Acc, I feel like I cut you off, and I apologize.
Oh, I was gonna say I did see something about the ingredients for those Feastables, and it's exactly the same nutrient list as Lunchables, except he replaced the word sodium with the word energizers or something like that. He gave it some bullshit high-tech fancy word, but he just replaced another existing chemical with that word, and it is otherwise exactly the same as a Lunchable.
Of course he did.
That's about right.
He looks frightening when he smiles.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just don't know how to smile. They really don't. We knew a guy, Acc.
Oh yeah, that's true.
If I may pull out one of our Aesop's fables. But we're going back to high school now, but we had our photos taken for remember we all had school IDs?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you couldn't buy lunch without your ID.
Yeah.
And they took photos, and I think the first time they did it, no one took it seriously and everyone made stupid faces. So then they had to redo them, and then they were going to lay down the law if anyone made a face. And I'm not going to name drop them because I don't want to get in trouble. But one kid, because whenever he smiles, looks so goddamn ugly, the principal came down on him and told him, you need to retake your photo because you made a face in it, not knowing that is his face.
That's just his face.
Yeah, he was one of those kids who unfortunately just had a very menacing aura. So I truly think he meant well, but everything he said kind of made you think he was telling you not to come to school tomorrow.
At one point, he eventually did say that.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Yes, that is true.
But, yeah. All right. We end on that note. With that, I guess I'm happy to be here. Happy to be alive.
Yeah, me too.
Little disappointed I missed a shootout. Could have been there.
You'll get the next one, Jack.
You did not want to be part of that. Please stop. You did not want any of that.
Oh man, it was awesome.
Jack going to release his hit book, If I Had Been Part of It.
That was awesome. That was awesome right there. God damn.
That was me. My hit book. What is it called? If I'd been there?
If I had been part of it. I don't know. My take on if I had did it.
I'll list all the world events that I missed because I turned my head away.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it always goes.
I know.
It really is. I saw foxes in my backyard yesterday, though. I didn't miss that.
Oh.
That was cool.
Aww.
Yeah, they were just chilling. They just oh, and then my neighbor, he's got a swimming pool and it's got a big fancy cover over it, and the foxes were just taking shits on it. It was hilarious. I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh when he's going to open his pool next year and he's just finding dried turds everywhere.
He's gonna look over, see you in your window laughing at him, and just gonna assume you're the one taking tiny shits on his pool.
Yeah, no, totally.
I don't know what you've been eating, but see a doctor. Also, fuck you.
What again? All right. Acc, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Zach, thank you. Good to see you.
Yes, always good to be here.
And for the rest of you, I say this.
Oh, see, kids nowadays.
True that.
It's never going to get old.
You know, things we'll never forget.
No. All right. Thank you for listening. We will talk at you next time. Shia bye.
Goodbye.
May not have happened.
This has been a presentation of the Solid Listen Podcast Network.